Hi, good day everyone. Today we are going to remove the starter motor from our motorcycle, service it and reinstall it, all by ourselves at home. The motorcycle I have is a Bajaj Pulsar 155. In this video I will show you step by step how to remove the starter motor from the bike, completely disassemble it, inspect and service all the internal parts, replace any worn out components if necessary, and finally reassemble and reinstall it correctly. The internal construction of starter motors is very similar in most motorcycles, regardless of the make or model. So if you watch this video from beginning to end and pay close attention to every important point, you will be able to repair the starter motor on your own motorcycle as well. Alright, let's get started. First, if your bike has a plastic mud cover like this, remove it. Next, disconnect the main supply wire coming from the starting relay. Next, check how many bolts are holding the starter motor to the engine housing. Once you clearly understand how it's mounted, carefully remove those bolts and take the starter motor out of the engine. This is the opening where the starter motor's pinion gear engages with the engine flywheel after the starter motor has been removed. Now clean all the dirt, dust and oil from the outside of the starter motor using kerosene. The pinion gear part and the motor can be separated by pulling them to the sides. Carefully inspect the pinion gear assembly and check whether it has any excessive play. If you notice any play, you can remove this circlip and repair the assembly. If it is too badly worn to repair, you will need to replace it with a new one. Now let's disassemble the starter motor. Before separating the parts of the motor, let me tell you the most important point. Before taking the motor apart, carefully look for the alignment mark on the motor housing. If there are no factory alignment marks, make your own reference mark using a marker pen or any other marking tool. When reassembling the motor, these marks must line up exactly as they were before. Only then will the motor return to its original factory alignment. Here you can see the factory alignment mark on this motor. Once you have identified the alignment marks, remove the two screws on the pinion gear side of the motor and separate the internal parts. After disassembly, the next important step is to carefully inspect every component one by one. First, inspect the brush holder. Check whether the brushes are worn, whether the mounting screws are loose, and whether any brush wires are damaged or broken. The rear bush of the armature is located inside the rear brush holder cup, so inspect that as well for wear. You can insert the armature and gently move it from side to side to check the excessive play. Also, inspect the armature commutator carefully for wear. Next, check whether the permanent magnet inside the yoke or stator have become loose. Now inspect the front cover of the motor where it connects to the pinion gear assembly. Check the rubber O-ring that prevents oil from leaking from the pinion gear section into the motor. Also remember the exact number of washers fitted between the front cover and the armature, as well as the order in which they are installed on the shaft. Remove all the carbon dust from inside the motor. Now thoroughly clean all the components using petrol. However, keep one important thing in mind. If you soak the stator in petrol for too long, the adhesive that holds the permanent magnets in place may weaken, causing the magnets to come loose. So, in my opinion, don't leave the stator in petrol any longer than necessary. Once everything is completely clean, we are ready to reassemble the starter motor. Before putting everything back together, check the brush holder screws one more time to make sure they are tight. Before installing the armature, use a suitable tool to carefully clean the installing mica gaps between the commutator segments. Now, without damaging the brushes, carefully insert the commutator end of the armature into the brush holder. In other words, fit the armature into the rear motor cover. Rotate the armature gently by hand to make sure both brushes are making proper contact with the commutator. Next, install the yoke. Now it's time to fit the front cover. Before installing it, don't forget to apply a small amount of grease to the needle bearing where the armature shaft fits into the front cover. As I mentioned earlier, reinstall all the washers onto the armature shaft in exactly the same number and order as they were removed. Then fit the front cover on the pinion gear side. Now comes another very important point. Earlier we identified the alignment marks on the housing. Make sure those alignment marks are perfectly lined up, just as they were before disassembly, and only then tighten the two mounting screws. This step is extremely important if you want the entire repair to be successful. So once again, don't forget to align the housing marks correctly before tightening the screws. Before tightening the screws, check whether the two rubber O-rings on them are still in good condition. If they were worn out, apply a small amount of gasket sealer before tightening the screws. This helps prevent water from entering the starter motor. Finally, check once more to make sure the alignment marks are still perfectly lined up. Also rotate the armature by hand to make sure it turns freely without binding. If you have followed all the steps correctly, there shouldn't be any tight spots. Now let's connect the main battery cable from the starter relay to the starter motor and press the starter button to see whether our repair was successful. Great, it's working perfectly. Now we need to remove all the old gasket materials from both the pinion gear housing and the engine housing. Next, we will make a new gasket to fit between the pinion gear housing and the engine housing. This gasket prevents engine oil from leaking out around the pinion gear housing. Using the method I am about to show you, you can easily make a new gasket from a piece of cardboard of the correct thickness. Position the new gasket on the pinion gear housing together with the two mounting studs. If possible, apply a thin layer of gasket sealer to achieve an even better seal. Apply a little engine oil to the rubber O-ring, then install the pinion gear housing onto the starter motor. After fitting it, rotate the pinion gear by hand to make sure it turns smoothly without any binding. It is also important to apply a small amount of grease to the pinion gear. Now we are ready to reinstall the starter motor onto the motorcycle. Finally, reconnect the main battery cable to its correct terminal. If you have completed every step successfully, your motorcycle should now start without any problem. Let's give it a try. Success! The engine starts perfectly. I hope you learned something useful from this video. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Until I see you again with another useful video, take care and wish you all the very best.